So, I was actually halfway through making a video about whether Arsenal should give Renée a new contract. I guess Arsenal didn't wait for my opinion. 3 year extension, new technical director, and honestly, the interesting part isn't the contract itself, it's everything that comes with it and what it tells about how Arsenal think they're going to fix their problems. Because at the exact same time Arsenal extended Renée, they also quietly changed something else, and that might actually matter just as much. Jodie Taylor has been appointed the technical director, and that tells us a lot about what Arsenal think went wrong and how they're trying to fix it. This role adds a lot of clarity. It's a really great link between the coach, the players, and the people making the long term decisions. Before this, a lot of responsibility was spread across different people. This role brings that together really well. And in my opinion, this is Arsenal admitting that the day to day football side needed a clearer voice really desperately. And this is actually really important to say. In the video I was making before this news broke, one thing I kept coming back to was that if Renée was going to be extended, the structure behind her had to be fixed. And whether every person in that structure turns out to be perfect or not, the fact that this role now exists at all is genuinely really positive. It's exactly the kind of support I thought that the club and the manager was missing. Having said all of that, this is where I slow myself down a little bit. Because fixing the structure doesn't automatically mean fixing the football. Well, obviously, it gives us a better chance, sure, but it doesn't really guarantee anything. This is, in my opinion, where the questions really start. A clearer structure only works if the people inside it are really willing to challenge each other, if the decisions are actually being made, especially the really uncomfortable ones. Because Arsenal are still 8 points off the top. They're still inconsistent in the league, and they're heading into a summer where some really big squad decisions have to be made. The extensions means Renée isn't just being trusted, she's being backed. And when that happens, the margin of excuses get really smaller. And the same goes for Jodie Taylor. The role isn't just symbolic anymore, it's operational. Recruitment, contract decisions, squad balance, those things now have a really clear voice. So yes, I do think this is a really great step in the right direction. But it's also the moment where Arsenal stop being able to say the foundations aren't there. Because once you strip all of this back, structure, contracts, even titles, the reality is Arsenal are still very inconsistent in the league. They're still dropping points in games that they should be controlling. They're still struggling to turn dominance into results. And they're still in a top 3 race in the league at best. This is where the extension really actually changes the conversation. Because when a coach is on a short-term deal, there's always a bit of a gray area. You can talk about transition, about betting things in, about time. That gray area is gone now. A 3 year contract says this is the direction, this is the football, and this is the group we're committing to. So naturally, the questions will now get much sharper. For Renée, this means the standards have to be shifted. She is not now managing game-to-game uncertainty anymore. She's managing expectations of the biggest women's team in the country. Consistency in the league now stops being just a hope. It's now the very baseline. And this is exactly why the structural changes matter. Because inconsistency doesn't always come from tactics. Sometimes it comes from the unclear roles, slow decisions, or mixed messages. This new setup is meant to reduce that. With Jodie Taylor in place, there's now someone whose job is to sit in the very middle of all of this. Between the coach and the squad, between performance and recruitment, between short-term results and long-term planning. So if Arsenal are inconsistent a year from now, it won't be because the structure wasn't there. It'll be because the decisions inside it weren't simply good enough. And this is where the structural change stops being abstract because it immediately shows up in the squad decisions. We already know Arsenal are heading into a big contract summer. A lot of senior players are coming to the end of their deals. What's interesting is who the club have chosen to talk about publicly and who they haven't. So far, the reporting has been very clear that the discussions are progressing really well with Kim Little and Leah Williamson. That doesn't automatically mean the decisions haven't been made on others, but it does tell us where the club is choosing to signal stability. At the same time, there have been credible reports that some players who won't be extended have already been told about it. And honestly, that's not a bad thing. Clarity works best both ways. It's better for players to know early, and it's better for the club to plan properly. And this is exactly where the technical director role really starts to matter. Those decisions don't just sit with the head coach anymore. They're part of a wider, joined up process. Arsenal have been open about wanting to refresh the squad and bring the age profile down. That doesn't mean disrespecting what this group has achieved, but it does mean accepting that not every contract can be sentimental. This is where the new structure, in my opinion, removes a lot of the grey area. If the right profiles are crept and if the right players are brought in, this setup will get a lot of credit. But if the same issues show up again, inconsistency, imbalance, slow transitions, it won't be because the decisions weren't being made. It'll be because the decisions were simply wrong. So when players or people talk about extension being about stability, this is what they really mean. Not comfort, not standing still, clear choices, and living with them. So when you zoom out and look at the day as a whole, this doesn't feel like Arsenal panicking, and it doesn't really feel like them standing still either. It feels like a club saying, this is the direction we're choosing, and now we have to live with it. They've committed to Renée, they've put a very clear structure around her, and they're making squad decisions earlier and more consciously than they have in the past. That doesn't mean that this suddenly works by default. Stability only matters if it leads to better football, better recruitment, and better consistency. And that's still the part Arsenal have to prove. But if there was one thing I really wanted to see before committing to Renée long term, it was this. A structure that really supported her. And for the first time in a while, Arsenal have put that in place. From here on, the excuses get smaller, the conversations get clearer, and the expectations, especially in the league, get really high. So this extension isn't the end of the debate about Arsenal's direction. It's the moment where the debate becomes measurable.